Support for this podcast comes from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative, connecting communities with the resources, infrastructure, and networks to ensure a vibrant local free press.
From KVPR in Fresno, this is Central Valley Daily. It's Tuesday, August 25th. I'm Soreath Hok. When we think of a region's economic health, we think jobs, income, and housing. But what about your local airport?
I would say the almost universal rule is there's not a more valuable economic asset that any region has than its airport.
The Fresno Yosemite International Airport has a new director of aviation charged with taking the region to new heights, what he says are the biggest opportunities for growth. That conversation in a moment, but first, these headlines. Fresno County Supervisor Gary Bredefeld announced on Monday that he's working on an ordinance to allow county prosecutors to carry weapons on county property if they already have a concealed weapons permit. The proposal is in response to a stabbing of a lead prosecutor outside the Fresno County Courthouse last week. Bredefeld says he's working with Fresno County District Attorney Lisa Smitkamp and Fresno County Sheriff John Zanoni on the measure. Meanwhile, Fresno City Attorney Andrew Jans echoed the need for more protections for prosecutors. Jans spoke at a press conference on Monday, steps from the courthouse where the stabbing happened. He said prosecutors are vulnerable in that part of the city.
It is well known within the criminal community, well known around the courthouse, that prosecutors, whether you work at the DA's office or if you work at the city attorney's office, we are unarmed. We are sitting ducks in Courthouse Park.
That's audio courtesy of TV station KMPH. Jans faced his own incident with a member of the public earlier this year. A judge granted him a restraining order against a man who was accused of trespassing onto his property back in May. Community organizers and resource advocates are raising awareness of looming changes to federal health care requirements. A healthcare town hall and resource fair will be held in Bakersfield today to discuss the changes. The groups are also focusing on Congressman David Valadao for his vote to pass the federal H.R. 1 last July. The bill enacted the new regulations, including work requirements, which some say could kick people off health care. It's officially powwow season in California and in much of the western U.S. The Table Mountain Rancheria wrapped up its 23rd annual powwow in Fryan on Sunday. Tribal members from as far away as Canada showed up. The event kicks off a series of powwows. The next one is planned for this coming Saturday in Lemoore.
August 31st is the last day to enter KVPR's $10,000 drawing. Your $100 ticket purchase supports KVPR and gives you a chance to win $10,000. Only 800 tickets will be sold. Thanks to Fresno Mazda for providing the $10,000 grand prize. Second place is a 2-night stay at Pismo Beach. Third place wins $250 to dine at restaurants in your community. But time is running out. The deadline is August 31st. Enter now at kvpr.org/10K.
And now to our main story. The Fresno Yosemite International Airport is flying high with a brand new terminal. The recent $146 million expansion was completed last December. This airport hub is the largest in the San Joaquin Valley, and it's growing. More than 2 million passengers pass through its gates in 2024. These changes also come as a new aviation director has been put into position. Mark Thorpe is a nearly 30-year veteran in the airline industry. He's worked at LAX, Ontario International, and Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. I spoke to him about his new role and what he thinks are the biggest opportunities for growth in Fresno's airports, what he considers economic engines.
So within the city of Fresno, the aviation department oversees the operation in the commercial sense and in the operational sense, planes landing, taking off, public safety, all those things, and the finances of Fresno Yosemite International Airport, as well as Chandler Executive Airport, which is Fresno is the airport that, we all fly in and out of. And then Chandler is one that's for general aviation and some corporate aircraft. It's closer to downtown, but doesn't have the commercial airlines that fly in and out of it like Fresno Yosemite does.
Yeah, when you think of the title aviation director, I think a lot of people wonder what all goes into that. You're talking about financing and sort of the operations, right, of the airport.
Yeah.
Is there anything about your role that might surprise people to know what you do?
Well, for the residents of Fresno and of the Central Valley, I mean, one of the things that's different. So we're an enterprise department within the city of Fresno, and that's because we're in a federally regulated industry. So we have, our finances have to be treated in a different way. But we operate, like other departments in the city and work closely with the city in every aspect of what we do. It's just that there's things, we're not paid for with taxes. I mean, there's some, like Measure C funds, a small amount of the Measure C funds go to the airport, but the large majority of our funds come from federal grants that really come from like user fees that are paid by airlines, or so really it's not so much from a general tax fund, but then they're also we pay for a lot of things with the fee, rates and charges that our airlines pay at the airport, our tenants pay, and then the user fees that we all pay when we fly, PFCs, the passenger facility charges, the 9/11 security fees, and then just the revenue that we generate from people parking, from people eating and shopping in our terminals, all those different things that happen in an airport. So we really are not so much tied financially to local taxes,
right,
but we are heavily supported by obviously the businesses that are here, the tourism that goes in and out of the region. But we're a little bit different in that way.
Cool. So now that we've heard about your role, I wonder, what drew you to come to Fresno? You have so much experience in the airline industry, almost 30 years working at different airports, different cities, traveling around the world. Why Fresno?
Well, I think the really great opportunities in the really short, medium, and even long-term future in the United States are going to be at some of these, airports that are smaller but are in really strong markets in terms of the demographics. Population growth, economic growth, those are the two main drivers of air travel. Fresno has a tremendous opportunity because it's not just Fresno that's growing, Fresno and Clovis, the region here in our immediate area, but all the Central Valley. And Fresno's a logical airport for the Central Valley, from Bakersfield to Modesto. And so, there's an opportunity to grow the traffic here, but just as important, there's quite a bit of real estate that the city owns, the aviation department of the city owns, and there's an opportunity to develop that and to do it in a smart way so that we generate revenue that's from sources other than the airlines,
right,
our airline partners, and our other tenants and users.
And you just recently finished a huge renovation. Can you talk to us about this new terminal? How's that been?
Yeah, I get to take credit for it, but really I didn't have, the team that's there at the airport did a great job over the last, couple of years, making sure that was finished and on time. We added gates that are international gates, and that's to support, their gates can also be used for domestic operations if needed, flights in and around the U.S., but they support all the service that we have to Mexico. There's flights to 3 cities in Mexico with 2 airlines, Volaris and Aeromexico. And so, that's a growing segment, and that's driven obviously by the large, population we have here in Southern California of Mexican Americans that are visiting friends and family and going back and forth. And it also allows us to look at other new opportunities, perhaps in Central America.
And with this renovation that just happened, we've already seen more passengers coming through. Does that mean when you're building big, you're also getting more passengers?
You build. The most dangerous thing you can do at an airport is to, build it and they will come. I mean, but the second most dangerous thing is to be behind building to meet what you need, right? So it's kind of a challenge to make sure you hit the sweet spot. But I do think there's we are working with the FAA on really figuring out whether there's opportunity to build either 2 more gates or 4 more gates in the terminal. We have to really decide which one of the 2 would make the most sense in terms of, how you time that. But we also need to replace our air traffic control tower. Around the U.S., the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, we use a lot of acronyms. The FAA, they own the land where the tower is built at a lot of airports. So they replace their own tower.
Okay.
We're one of the few where we own the land and we built the tower years ago.
Oh, wow.
So we need to work with the FAA to get grants to cover a lot of the costs for us to rebuild a new tower. And that's something that Congressmember Costa and obviously Mayor Dyer and the whole city council have been very supportive of. It's a major initiative. We also are planning to build a second parking garage right next to the first one. It'll let us move our rental cars in there, which helps us to finance that project. But one of the areas that we need to work very closely with the city planning department on as well is access to the airport. You know, a place where a lot of airports fall down is you spend a lot of your time planning and designing things on the airport, on your property. But if you're not coordinating with the city, how people get to the airport, how cargo trucks move in and around the airport, what are the best access points from freeways, and you're not planning the roadways that access the airport, that growth, we last year we set a record for traffic. We're going to set a record again this year.
Wow.
You could go from 2.8 million a year, passengers to 5 pretty quickly in this market because of the size of this region and the growth. And you do that, those surface streets that people use to access the airport become clogged very quickly. So we're trying to work with cities, planning department on, how do you create parkways where there's surface streets with stoplights all the time? You need kind of that free flow access to an airport. And then how do you accommodate that freer flowing traffic and more of it on the airport?
Well, so much to look ahead to, so much work ahead for you.
Oh, if I could mention one last thing really quickly, I should have earlier. One exciting thing we're doing, I know it's something that we've talked about, and the city's pretty excited about it as well. One of the things we want to do is have the people of our region feel more of a sense of the airport having a local identity. And so you see that with the, Los Amigos going in and Mad Duck. But also we're going to start with this fall, a day pass program. There's 30 other airports that do it around the country. We'll be the 31st. We'll be the first airport within our peer group around the country to do it. You'll be able to go past security. So you can, if you want to see off a loved one or meet a friend when they arrive, you can go meet them at the gate.
Oh,
before 9/11, and you could go meet people at the gate, say goodbye to them. So that'll allow, friends and family to go see off people who are departing, or you can even go to the airport if you want to we've had some employees say, I want to have my 49er watch parties at the airport, at the Mad Duck on Sundays. You can do that. You just provide your ID, you book ahead, you go through a quick portal and book a day pass, and you can go through security. And so we think that'll give people opportunities to do what used to happen at airports, like when I was much younger. But I think even more importantly, it's a way to welcome people here, when they come and visit and say goodbye in a much more meaningful way.
And what does it say about a region that has a healthy airport?
I've not been challenged on it yet. I have to think that maybe there's an exception, but I would say the almost universal rule is there's not a more valuable economic asset that any region has than its airport. When you look at economic impact, job growth, particularly indirect jobs that are touched by an airport, that come from activity at an airport. And ironically, it's more, and I say this, with FedEx and UPS being at our airport, cargo generates more of an economic impact than the passenger traffic does. You think about how important it's a gateway to the world, not just for people, but for all of our businesses to ship things to and from this region. And it is an incredibly valuable asset of the cities. And I think it's going to be an even more important economic asset and a growing one in the years to come.
Wow, lots of exciting stuff happening at the Fresno Yosemite International Airport. Mark Thorpe, City of Fresno Director of Aviation, thank you so much for making time for us today.
Thank you for having me here.
And that's today's show. Today's episode was produced by Jonathan Linden and KVPR. I'm Soreath Hok. Find the latest local news anytime at kvpr.org.
The fatal shooting of a teenager at a protest in Seattle has gone unsolved for 6 years.
This is open in your face. How are there no answers?
Our investigation has uncovered new evidence and witnesses who say they've never talked to police.
Did police ever call you?
Not once.
Listen to We Keep Us Safe, a new true crime series on the Embedded podcast from NPR.